Absolutely.
No, I'm not talking to you, Mrs. Champion. Yeah, me.
Of course not.
Of course not?
Of course, I'm not that one anyhow.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is resolution number 3 of 2020, appointment of an interim city manager. Is there a motion to appoint?
I motion that we appoint Neil Freitas as interim manager.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
I believe this, if I'm correct, Rich, does this not have to be pending a drug test?
That's my understanding, yes. It's the city's policy that all new employees first have a drug test.
Okay.
So that would be, I guess that would be an appropriate amendment to the motion. That it's effective upon successful drug testing.
Do you need a motion to that?
You could amend your motion.
Yes, I would amend my motion to subsequent a drug test.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Is there, does the results of that drug test have to be back before he takes the position, or is there a window?
No, I think he can take the position, and then I guess in the unlikely event there was a problem, then I guess it would be vacation of the position.
Comments, guys?
Okay. No other comments, so would you call a roll, please, Diana?
Mr. Frazier?
No.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Stromdahl?
No.
Mr. Payton?
Yes.
Mr. Crouch?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Motion carried. Any new business? Then I guess we'll move to public participation. Any other public comment on any subject?
Mr. Chairman, I know it just crossed my mind that our very first organization meeting, we failed to appoint a city clerk.
Okay.
And that's a matter of business we do need to take care of. Is that something we can take care of this morning or not?
Yes, the notice of this meeting allowed for other items that might have to be addressed.
I make a motion then that we also appoint the new interim city manager as the city clerk.
Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, in that case, would you call the roll, please, Diana?
Mr. Stromdahl?
No.
Mr. Crouch?
Yes?
Mr. Payton?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
No.
Okay, motion carried. I guess given the other item of business, is there any public participation related to that? Okay. Hearing none, comments by mayor and council.
My comment is we had 5 applicants that were put in window of December when it was advertised, and it appears that they are being disregarded, not even considered. Later on, a application was presented to Mr. Stromdahl and well, I should say a resume from this new gentleman, and I'm sorry, but it just all seems a bit unorthodox, and I just can't do this when we already had an interim person in there in that position that could carry us to whenever we decide on a new candidate.
I would say, so that the public understands what has happened, when the new members of city council were elected, the existing city council and administration chose to block us out of all information unless we went through the right to know process. Because of that, we were also cut out of any input on the placement of the current interim city manager, and we were cut out of the process of determining who would replace Ms. Champion on the city council. After all, we were gonna be the ones working with that person. A little input I felt was appropriate. The city council then went ahead and advertised for city manager without our consult. And just last week, we were given those applications of who it was. In the meantime, we chose to go ahead, interview people, and move forward because that's what the voters indicated to us that they wanted us to do. This is not cutting out anybody that has made an application. In fact, it is the current intent of council that we've discussed that at the appropriate time to open this up and do a broader search than what has been done. And anybody that has applied will be part of that. We will accept those applications as they are. And the current interim city manager that we are appointing will also be part of that review as well.
Just to go off of what Roger said, we as a full council, not three of us, have agreed to open up the search for a city manager at a wider range. Mr. Strongbaugh and Mr. Frazier have agreed to that. I would also say that Mrs. Durston is not being terminated. She still remains as our finance director and our grant writer and our records keeper, etc. The only thing that's happening today is we're bringing in a new interim manager. As I told council and as Mr. Strongbaugh and Mr. Frazier understood me, I do not believe an individual can carry 5 or 6 titles and do one of those titles proper or efficiently. That's why we have decided that we want an interim manager, and I wholeheartedly agree with Roger. We were totally left out of the system. In the past, new council members were given the opportunity to attend meetings and participate. We are opening the budget on Monday because, again, Mr. Strongbaugh, as of last Monday, didn't even have a budget. The three of us were not invited to take part in that budget process. I'm not telling you that we're going to change the budget totally, but history has shown that new council members were involved. This administration decided to leave, and that was his choice. But we came on board with no information. So we feel that there's a lot of things that have gone on that we want to reopen and talk about. And if it stays the same, it stays the same. If it changes, it will change. It's not that the three of us have a mandate to bring in our personal agenda. I don't think you've seen a personal agenda on our part yet. Most likely during the first year, you're going to see a lot of 3-2 votes, and that's fine. These gentlemen have a right to vote how they want. These gentlemen have a right to vote how they want, as well as I do. We have strong concerns, they have strong concerns. And to respond to Mrs. Champion, this new interim manager will be interviewed. Diane Durston will be interviewed, and others will be interviewed. And that means by all 5 members of City Council, not the 3 of us. So that's all I have to say.
So I'd like to add to that, that I'm a little disappointed in how things went today, as Tammy expressed disappointment. We opened this up for discussion before we took a vote. Then we took a vote, and then people discussed how disappointed they were in the choice that we did. That was a good time to do that ahead of the vote, so that people knew where people stood. I also think that the previous manager decided to resign on January 3rd. And all of you that have read the newspaper, have access to the newspaper, I addressed it myself that I didn't think it was a very gentlemanly fashion in the word that he used when he resigned, but I'm okay with that. He can do whatever he wants. He resigned on the 3rd. On the 6th, we did our reorganization meeting, and that's when we were supposed to place an interim manager in place. On the 17th of December, Tammy Champion was still a council member. That was the same night she resigned in the executive session, and they picked a new person to replace her that night. They chose to put in an interim manager, as has already been stated, without even talking to us. So we had to prepare ourselves. That's why we're here today. And we're excited for the city. We're excited for the future. And we think the city is going to be very excited with the choice that we made.
Any other comments?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Call roll, please, Diana.
Mr. Payton?
Yes.
Mr. Crouch?
Yes.
Mr. Stromdahl?
Yes.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Neil, if you want to stand, you should have that. This is Neil Freitas. If anybody would like to stick around, talk to Neil after the meeting, please do. At Monday's meeting, at our regular meeting, there will be a small reception for Neil. And after that meeting, after that reception, we'll be reopening the budget.
Thank you.
So many cops in here. Seen so many cops.
Mr. Emerson, how you been? Staying out of trouble?
You guys started early, huh?
Yeah, well, we lost a few days because of that screw up on the schedule.
Yeah.
So we tried to get it tucked in then as soon as we could.
Yeah. I got here at 9 and you guys were already.
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah.
I think Rich said his